Hey Leslie, after spending the last 3 weeks on the road with away games, what does having two back-to-back home games mean to this team, especially in December toward the end of the regular season?
Well, man, I think you're always excited to get a chance to play in front of your home fans, and even more so after what we've experienced over the last 3 weeks. I think we're all looking forward to being in front of our fans and hearing them cheering for us. There's a lot of excitement about playing at home in front of our fans.
And then you guys are going to be facing Mike White this weekend for the Jets. You played him once last season in Week 10. What do you see in Mike White in the last two games he started in, and then I guess the game that you guys faced him in as well?
Yeah, and the clips that I've had a chance to watch, Matt, he seems like he's playing with a lot of confidence. He's throwing for a lot of yards. Had a big game yesterday from a statistical standpoint, and just seems very confident in what he's doing and a real good command of the offense and what the coaches are expecting. So we'll have our hands full trying to contain him and deal with some of the many factors they have within their offense.
Thanks, Leslie.
You're welcome.
Leslie, John Worrell, how you doing?
Hey, John.
Focusing in on Tremaine, Edmunds, and Matt Milano, and just how the two seem to complement each other with their abilities in playing what is a bit, it's my words, I guess, a bit of a unique system with this two linebacker set that you guys use. Can you expound on what they do together, and how impactful they are as a tandem like that?
Yeah, I think some of it goes back, John, to the experience they've had working together. We've seen growth in both players as individuals over time. Tremaine has really raised this game to another level from a leadership standpoint, as well as his playmaking ability here in 2022. And the same has been true for Matt. And so I think the fact that they've played together for the number of years they have, they both are improving at a great pace, which really helps our defense, which helps our team. It's great when we're able to keep both of them on the field at the same time. We've had a few games where we had one and not the other, but their symmetry is unmatched in the way they handle the run game and how well they play in the pass game as well. They are really the prototype linebackers that people want today, guys that can really handle what needs to be handled between the tackles and on the perimeter as well in the run game, but yet have the athletic ability to be able to match up and cover running backs and tight ends and not end up in mismatches. So the time that they spend in the classroom, the time they spend together off the field, the things they do with one another, I think that's what attributes the success that they've had playing together.
Because, I mean, the break-in period for both of them, because I don't think, I'd have to go back, but I don't know if they played this kind of system in college. So what was that break-in period like, and how much, you talked about how, the symmetry between them, how much have they grown together? But, I mean, just the break-in period, I guess, is what I'm looking at, focusing in on.
Yeah, the way they came in is a little bit different for each. Matt, John, stood up before our guys, I think the night before we played either Cleveland or Detroit, and just talked about his growth from when he came out of BC to Buffalo, and how he was a backup and just waiting his time. And then he got into this system where, it's primarily two linebackers on the field. And he just continued to grow as he learned more about what was asked of his position. And then you look at the way Tremaine came in, first round pick, starting very early on. Their break-in period they were both a lot different, and they both have really come along in their own way and grown into the players they are today. And John, they are really infants in some ways in their development. They've definitely matured and grown. Tremaine's been to Pro Bowls. Matt's going to go to Pro Bowls, but they are not at the peak of their performance. They are still improving. So it's great to see. But their break-in periods were a lot different.
Right. I mean, going back to Chicago, could you have envisioned being successful with? I mean, is their success in this defense more of how they play, or just more how the defense is? I guess.
I really believe both Matt and Tremaine, no matter what type of system they were in, they both be successful players at the linebacker position. They are those type of athletes. You could put them into almost any system, they're going to be good. And they really help make our system what it is because of their athletic ability and the intangibles that they bring to the position. But they're the type of players that could be good in just about any system.
And the last thing for me, pardon me, I'm taking all this time up, but so Matt Milano actually stood up before the team and said more than maybe 10 words.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because afterwards I told him he did a good job. He said, "Man, Coach, I wasn't sure what I was going to say, but he handled himself extremely well, and he did say more than 10 words, but he did a really good job."
Thanks, Leslie.
You're welcome.
Hey, Leslie, more playing time for Tre'Davious White this past week. What'd you see from him, and how'd he come out both physically and mentally?
Yeah, we were really encouraged by his play. The fact that he was able to play an extended number of snaps compared to what he had gotten the week before was really good for us and really bodes well for the future. His coverability, his tackling, I mean, everything about what he did only raised our confidence level in watching him play. So we're excited about his growth and the things that he was able to accomplish in that ball game on Thursday night, and looking forward to more. We'd like to put more on his plate in this next ball game and just see him continue to grow with his snap count. And it makes us a better defense when he's on the football field.
What went into the decision to plug in Xavier Rhodes, and what'd you see from him throughout the game? What were your impressions of his performance?
Xavier did some good things for us in that ball game, and we traced it back to Dane had been sick during the week, really only got one day of work that Wednesday or Tuesday, which was a Friday for us, of work. And so we were really concerned about his strength and how long he could last in the ball game. And so we decided to give Xavier that start because he had pretty much gotten those reps in practice. And with the time that he had on task and the time that he's been with us, we thought he did a lot of good things in that ball game, and he should continue to grow from there.
How about the decision to go without Kyer in the game?
Yeah, that was a tough one, and that had as much to do with special teams as being in the defensive backfield. Because with Dane being kind of iffy, we would have liked to have had Kyer available, but because of the numbers, it really didn't work out that way.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Leslie, Mike Giardi, NFL Network. How are you?
Hey, Mike, doing good.
I'm curious, obviously when Vaughn went down, you guys sort of had to approach the second half against the Lions a little different defensively. There was a lot of blitzing. And then last week against the Patriots, Lawson and Epinesa were out there quite a bit. Normally you rotate more bodies. How do you think that they held up? And is that something that you feel like is sustainable in the next few weeks as you figure out other injured parties?
Yeah, I thought Shaq and AJ really performed well for us. Shaq ended up getting the game ball because of his performance. He was an impact player in that game, both in the run game as well as harassing the quarterback. So really pleased with the things they both were able to do. And you're right, their snap count was up primarily in Vaughn's absence, but they handled it extremely well. And, we'll see what happens going forward. Every week is a little bit different. But based on what we saw on Thursday night, they can handle the reps for sure. We just got to make sure that the rotation is where it needs to be. So when we do get to the fourth quarter, we've got fresh guys out there.
And looking at the Jets, what have you seen from Garrett Wilson? It seems like he's on a bit of a heater right now, if you will.
Yeah. Wow. He really stands out. I mean, he's a guy that they're for sure targeting and getting the ball in his hands, and he's making things happen. He's going to be a really good player. He is a good player, and his future is very bright, and we're going to have our hands full trying to contend with him. But he's a guy that they are making a focal point within their offense.
Thanks, Leslie.
You're welcome.
Okay, good afternoon, Coach Frazier. How you doing this afternoon? George Radney, Challenger Community News.
I'm doing good, George. Thank you.
Great. Glad to hear it. Question, what is guys like Damar Hamlin and the rest of your defensive backs supposed to do when you're going to try to make a play? You maybe have an opportunity for interception and you collide with the receiver. I saw it in a couple of games yesterday, and it's almost impossible to you can't stop because you're going full speed. Is there anything Damar Hamlin could have done differently in the game Thursday night on that hit in the end zone?
Yeah, it's so much tougher today, George, but there's so much emphasis on player safety that anytime you're up near the neck and head area, they're going to flag you for sure. Even though sometimes the receiver, as he's about to catch the ball, he could be lowering his target as well, moving the target. And so it's a challenge for defenders, but that's where the game is today. If you are around that head or neck area, you're going to get flagged and potentially fined. That's where we are.
And your take on Tremaine Edmunds' play in the Thursday night game? Seemed like his reads are starting. Look like he's picking up the reads a lot better and reacting a lot better than earlier in his career.
Oh yeah, he's definitely grown in that area for sure, George. He's much better at being able to decipher what type of runs he's getting and when it's run versus pass on play action as well. So he's grown, which you always hope from his first year to his second year. And now at this stage of his career, he's got control, complete command of what the offense is trying to do. And that's helped him to become a better football player and helps our defense as well.
Great. Thank you very much. And good luck this coming weekend.
Thank you.
Coach Frazier, Mookie Hawkins, Wellful Sports 1080. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Mookie.
I'm great. Just care to talk about how physical Tremaine Edmunds were for you guys on Thursday night.
Yeah, I really believe because of his ability to be able to recognize things as quickly as he does, Mookie, that has a lot to do with his physicality. He's grown so much as a player from a physical standpoint. What I mean by that is not just his stature, but the tackle. He's got so much better when it comes to tackling and being physical with his tackles as well. And that's helped us. His pass defense has improved. His overall play has improved. And his leadership has always been there, but he's taken that up to another level as well. So we're really pleased with the way Tremaine has progressed, really pleased with the way he's tackling and getting from one gap to the next and then finishing plays. So very encouraged by his play.
Now, having guys like Tre'Davious White back and obviously the veteranship of Xavier Rose, how comfortable does that make you feel to try to mix it up a little bit more than most and, than basically in the beginning of the season?
Yeah, when you have some veteran players who kind of been through it before, it does give you some liberties to maybe try some things here and there, but you got to do it within reason. Does it fit what we are as a defense when you go to some of those changes along the way? But it definitely makes a difference when you've got experienced guys out there that have done it before and done it at a high level for sure.
How important it is for you guys to stay on the attack versus the Jets this week?
It's very important. They've got a good offense. They put up a lot of yards yesterday and points, and Mike White has shown that he can really throw the ball around the ballpark, and we've got to do a really good job of covering it and trying to find ways to slow that offense down. But they've shown they're more than capable of moving the football up and down the field.
Absolutely, Coach. Have a great, healthy week of practice. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Hey, Leslie. I was curious when, with Xavier getting more practice reps with Dane dealing with an illness and all that, is there anything he's doing that, made you specifically want to increase his role versus is there anything Kair's not doing that made you feel like, Xavier should play over him? Is there anything is it obviously special teams, as you said, is involved here too, but from a defensive perspective, what has transpired that made you comfortable having, Xavier up and Kair inactive?
Yeah, we wanted to be able to take a look at Xavier. We've had him here now, Atlanta, for a few weeks, and this was the opportunity to be able to do it with Dane's situation being what it was, and then special teams being where it was. And so that doesn't mean that Kair is going to be out of the rotation. It just so happened for that ball game, that was an opportunity to take a look at Xavier, and we wanted to take advantage of that.
And then in this situation, with a young guy like Kyer, who obviously wants to play and all that stuff, what do you say to him? Like when he has to sit down a game like that, like what's that conversation like?
Yeah, I can tell you exactly. I just tried to encourage him once we made the decision as to what we were going to do. And I just told him to keep his head up and then just learn from the guys that were playing. And when you watch the tape, I even talked to him about it today, just going back, looking at Xavier, looking at Tre'Davious, looking at Dane when they were out there and just picking up things as you go, because your number could be up a lot quicker than you would think. So you don't want to be pouting, you don't want to be sulking. You want to be learning. And I think he took it the right way, and he'll be back on the field at some point soon.
Are you happy, like his development over the course of this season? Have there been a lot of positives, do you think, in how, he's been developing overall? Obviously he's dealt with injuries and that sort of thing, but how Kyer has been developing in his rookie year?
Yeah, really pleased with the progress he's been making along the way. And, Elena, even this past week, this past ball game is a part of that growth. Just being able to handle adversity, like the injuries that he dealt with early on. And so that's part of the growth as well. So if he handles it the right way, it's going to help him throughout his career. And he has been handling things the right way. So we're excited about his future and look forward to when he's back on the field.
And then last one for me, we had talked about when Trey was injured, how the uncertainty kind of played a role there with not knowing exactly when he might be back. With Vaughn now going on IR, does it help you to know that, he's going to be out at least this certain amount of games, we can plan X, Y? Does it help in terms of what you're doing to plan what this defense will look like in that time without him?
From a planning standpoint, for sure. And it's not necessarily what you want, but yes, to answer your question, from a planning standpoint, it creates some clarity as to how you have to approach things and what guys you need to get ready, as opposed to wondering if Vaughn is going to be ready this week, next week, or next ball game. So yes, in that way, but look forward to when he's back. I tell you that.
Thanks, Leslie.
You're welcome.
That's all today. Thanks, Leslie.
You're welcome.